Ladies and gentlemen, the gloves are off once again. We are here from Hollywood Smoke in the beautiful city of Santa Monica. I'm your co-host, Steve K9 Kim, and the star of the show, the incomparable Ray Boom Boom Mancini. Ray, how you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good, Steve.
We have Hermosa cigars in our hands, but let's get started. It was mayhem from the MGM Grand in Las Vegas. And once again, Floyd Mayweather, 47 have tried, 47 have failed. He wins his rematch in spectacular fashion, according to some, against Marcos Maidana. According to some, but not Ray Mancini. This is what you tweeted Saturday night at Real Boom Boom. Mayweather is the modern-day Houdini, stealing people's money and not taking a lick of a chance. 3 exclamation points. Wow.
Well, you know, after that, my Twitter blew up, you know, and I had people making comments to me, and you don't know what it's. What do you know? You had losses on your record, and so I'm thinking these guys that deceived to think that having a 0 next to your name, next to your record means everything, means nothing. That's what they don't get. One guy said, "Well, how come you can't appreciate the art?" So let me explain for these people who know nothing. They don't, as I said, they don't know the difference between a fish hook and a left hook. So they want to talk boxing. Let me just, for those out there, let me clarify, specify, rectify. That, first of all, I appreciate his talent. And if you've listened to the show, I've talked about how talented he is. I appreciate his skills. What I don't appreciate is the con. You tell me, you know, Maidana's going to go for a knockout, so am I. See, it's a con job. You know, just stick with, you know, with Roberto Duran, people knew what they were buying. With Julio Cesar Chavez, people knew what they were buying. Certain fighters, people know what they're buying. You know on Front Street, what it's going to be. Arturo Gatti, you knew what you're buying. With this guy, we don't know what we're buying. You know, he's the most skilled fighter out there, no doubt. He's got, I've praised his talent and his skills, like I said, repeatedly. But I'm tired of saying, of seeing him right, that I'm going to go after this, I'm going to put on a show, I'm going to go for the knockout, and then do what he does. That's why I said he's the modern day Houdini. You know, one thing, and then you see something else. What you think you see, you don't. It's a con job. That's all. You know, Houdini conned everybody to think that what he was doing was real. That's what I'm saying. Floyd's the modern day Houdini because he's stealing people's money and ain't putting on a lick of taking a lick of a chance to go out there and go out on a shield and put on a show for the people.
In defense of Mayweather, though, we were here the last time we taped the segment. We said if there's one guy that could make an adjustment, it would be Floyd Mayweather. We pretty much forecasted that, like his rematch with Jose Luis Castillo in 2002, that he was going to dance around the ring, use his mobility, use his foot speed, and basically outquick a slow, plodding guy. What did we really expect except what happened on Saturday night, Ray?
No, you're right, but I would think, I'm talking from a fighter's point of view. I'm talking from someone who's an entertainer. When you're out there, you're an entertainer. That's what people are paying for, to be entertained. You have an obligation. You have a moral obligation to the fans to give them their money's worth. They're paying good money to you, to give them a show. That's what people pay to see. That's what you should give them. Not that stuff what we saw Saturday night.
I think anyone that actually bought in to Floyd Mayweather saying, I'm going to go for the knockout, I have, well, as they say, I have a bridge in Brooklyn to sell you because if you really take away the Victor Ortiz no-look knockout, where Joe Cortez was really a part of that crime, he has not knocked out anyone in clean fashion since 2007. So again, buyer beware is what I say. But as it relates to Floyd Mayweather, though, do you think that because he is so hung up on his 0, this is my theory, he wants to finish 50-0. That's what I think his goal is, okay? His aim is to one-up Rocky Marciano and then claim, as he has, TBE, the best ever. So do you think that not only carries over into his matchmaking, but even worse, does it carry over into his fighting style?
Of course it does. And first of all, you're 37 years old. You have no business fighting at 37 years old. You know, I mean, it's a young man's sport. We all know that. But the fact that these guys can fight into their 30s because of the money and the fact that they only have to fight once or twice a year, if that, Yeah, of course he wants to have that 50-0. But here's the funny thing is, in the era of 12 rounds, I mean, it's so ridiculous that in the era of 12 rounds, we're talking about the best ever. You ain't even the best now. You ain't even I mean, in the contemporary, you may not be the best now. You may not be the best now.
Wait a minute. You're, okay, with that being said, I'm not exactly a guy that wears a TMT shirt in my off time.
Right.
Who beats him?
I don't know who beats him, but what I'm saying, the best ever, I mean, there's a lot of good champions out there. I'm sure he may be the best in his division right now. He is the best in his division. I don't know if anybody beats him in his division, but see, the best ever, that's an insult to Ray Leonard. That's an insult to Henry Armstrong, to Sugar Ray Robinson, to Muhammad Ali, to all the greats who many people put that tag of the pound for pound the greatest ever. For him to come out and self-proclaim TBE, not only is it an insult to those guys, but to Ray Leonard, Tommy Hearns, Roberto Duran, Marvin Hagler, all the guys that preceded him. If he was in that round robin back then, I'm not saying he wouldn't have been successful. I'm just saying he wouldn't have come out with that 0. No.
Well, let's put this into perspective. If Marcos Maidana fought in the 80s, does he win a major championship belt? Is he a top 5 welterweight? I think it's a resounding no. For as much as I respect Chino Maidana, let's call it for what he is. Heavy-handed guy. Strong, tough, durable, but also slow, plodding, one-dimensional.
Well, you know what that sounds like, Steve? Back in the 80s, that sounds like what we used to call an opponent. That's what, a good, tough opponent. Because everything you said, I'm not saying that that's Maidana now. Maidana's fighting for world championships. I'm saying back then, because a lot of those guys, the skills and attributes you just described a lot of guys back in the 80s. So that's what I'm saying. Look, he got the opportunity. Here's what bothers me. Even from Garcia's camp, I'm from Maidana's camp. Garcia, we got it. 12. We're going to make sure we can go for 12 rounds without getting tired. He got tired again. I mean, 12 rounds. Any 10-round fighter go 12. I mean, for them to even fathom going 15, it's not even in their. They can't even. It's not in their mind. They can't even see it in their mindset. How could they ever go 15? They get tired going 10. 12? Come on. 15, the championship rounds, that separates the champs from the chumps, the pretenders from the contenders.
Ray, the inimitable Herm Edwards once said, you play to win the game. Okay, that's football. You also play to win the game in boxing. Now, again, not to be a Floyd defender, but my question is, he won the fight. He didn't take a lot of punishment. Right. He's the one taking the punches. He's the one putting his life at risk, theoretically. Can you blame him?
No, I don't blame that at 37 years old a guy doesn't want to get hit no more. I don't blame that a guy at 37 years old doesn't want to go and put out the effort that he wants to, that people expect. I've said it before on the show that Napoleon once said after 30 a man's spirit is not made for war because of obviously many other things going on in people's lives. So the fact that he is fighting into his late 30s, God bless him. And making the money he is, God bless him there more. I just think that the fact that he doesn't want to put it on the line is because for those factors. Hey, I wouldn't either, which is why I knew my style fighting was not made for a long career. I knew I wanted to get in, make my score, and get out. All those things. I could not morally do what these guys do now. Go out there and fight and not fight and put on a show and give it my all 100%. I couldn't have done that morally.
But Ray, you were known in your days as an 80s matinee idol, carrying Youngstown, CBS star. You were an entertaining fighter. We call it fan-friendly or friendly to the eye. As it relates to Floyd Mayweather, what I find interesting is that the fans who are his fans, they always bring up the money he makes as if it kind of excuses these tepid performances. My point is this: unless you're getting a cut, what the hell is in it for you?
Right. Well, that's one of a couple of tweets I got. Hey man, why are you spitting the venom? You be jealous. Why you be hating? Yeah, and things like that. I said, no, my brother, no. Nobody's hating anybody. I respect all. I think every athlete deserves what they get, especially particularly fighters. Being a fighter, I know that. God bless him. I hope he makes $100 million more. That's never the case. But if you're going to get paid, just be worthy of what you're being paid. Put on the show. Don't, the old saying to sell the sizzle, not the steak, right? He sold the sizzle. The steak was tender, was terrible. It was raw, it was uncooked, unfinished.
Ray, boxing to me is like any other sport. It's entertainment. It really is, and that's why we want. To me, it's the most unscripted, authentic version of reality TV. Because whatever happens in that field of play, whether it's a football field, a hockey rink, or that 20 by 20 patch of canvas, something could happen. With Mayweather fights, it almost seems predetermined in a lot of ways. Now, my question to you is, as someone, again, that's been in there, is there an obligation to not only try to win on your behalf, but where's then the obligation to actually entertain? Does that exist?
Well, that's exactly what I said before. They got an obligation to the fans to give them the best show possible. Yes, you have an obligation to the fans. You have an obligation to win for yourself and for your family and your team. But the obligation to the fans to do it in the best, the most impressive, as you say, fan-friendly style. Mm-hmm. You know, you want to make it endearing. You want ratings good because you want people to buy you again. Well, he's been selling because people, you know, he's the modern day Ali. Muhammad Ali back in the day, people paid to see him get beat. And everyone knew that. Now we know in retrospect what he's the greatest. He was what great talent he was. But at that time, during the 60s and 70s, you know, we didn't understand. Nobody understood that psychological warfare, mental warfare. Ali brought that into the lexicon of the American public. You know, so now we understand what that means. Oh, okay. Well, everybody else after that, the act's old. It's nothing original. So Ali originated that. So now, when you say you're going to do something, put on a show. Just come and do it. And people, you're getting paid to go 12. You ain't even going paid to go 15. And you get paid, you know, I've said it, they get paid a hell of a lot more, do a hell of a lot less. They weigh in the night before. They only got to go 12. You know, now I can handpick my gloves. And, you know, I can handpick the referee. I handpick the judges. I mean, it is a Mayweather promotion. You know, anybody who goes into that, Maidana and Garcia and the team knowing what it is, just go out and put on a show, man. Do the best possible. At least be prepared for the style. Maidana wasn't.
Yeah, speaking of handpicking the referee, Kenny Bayless, yeah, he might be an honorary member of TMT. There seemed to be a little bit, at the very least, of a bias as it related to how he refereed that fight. Putting that aside, if you could put away all the political and promotional entanglements that currently exist in boxing, who would you like to see Floyd Mayweather fight next in 2015?
There's only a couple fights out there for him. And that one, Gennady Golovkin says he'd come down to 54 to fight him. Floyd's moved up to 54 before to fight Canelo. So make a catch weight. Golovkin says he can come down. Do it.
Well, any interest in Pacquiao still?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I hope that fight gets made. They're talking about it. But, you know, look, again, going back to in the 80s, when Ray and Tommy wanted to fight, they called Bob. Bob, make the fight. You know, that's it. That was all they do. Pacquiao said repeatedly he's want to fight him, but now Floyd's putting these outrageous demands. If he leaves Bob Arum, he leaves this, he leaves that. I mean, that's a way of saying I really don't want to fight the guy. You know, I really don't want to fight him because I know he ain't going to do it. So, you know, so it's a way of outbidding yourself. But who do I want to? Golovkin. I don't want to see Cotto rematch. I mean, has no interest for me. Don't want to see Canelo rematch. Has no interest. I mean, Golovkin and Pacquiao. Pacquiao, though it's 3 years too late, still has some interest. And Pacquiao, though he's been you know, a little knocked down from what everyone thought he was, he's still a great fighter and still talented and probably has a bad style for Floyd. So I think those are the only two guys I want to see him fight. Who else is there? Who else?
That's an interesting question because I think what they're going to do is the continual formula. You either have to be approved by Al Haymon to be a dance partner for Floyd Mayweather, or you have to be represented by Al Haymon, like Marcos Maidana was. And I don't understand where Showtime's going to go with this deal. They are now 4 fights into this deal. He's already making noise that I may just come back in September and not May, which to me, that's his way of saying Cotto Canelo is going to get that Cinco de Mayo date.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if CBS and Showtime are thinking to themselves, did we pick up a lemon?
Well,
I don't think they could even look at themselves in the eyes and say, boy, this was a great deal for us.
No, I don't know who the rocket scientist over there was who made that deal. I really don't. I mean, you know, they're all pointing the fingers. I've not seen one guy step up and say, I made that deal. You know what? I'm responsible. I have not heard one person over at Showtime say that. Because the fact of the matter is, back in the day, the networks called the shots. But if they didn't like a fight, they'd say no.
Yeah.
Well, if we don't like the fight, we'll give you 3, 4 other guys you can fight, or else we won't put the fight on. Showtime and HBO have the ability to control it. They have the ability to say, you know what, either fight one of these guys or we're not showing the fight. Or we're not paying you the money, one or the other. And it should be both.
So putting a bow on this, if you had to spend your own money to watch Floyd Mayweather and it was not against Gennady Golovkin or Manny Pacquiao, Yay or nay? Are you pulling out that wallet? Are you punching in the pay-per-view on your remote
Steve,
control?
I didn't pay this weekend. I was putting together a shelf in my house. If I said, are you going to watch the fight? I said, no. He said, why? I said, because I ain't donating to the cause. No, I'm not paying no money for that because I know what it's going to be. It's going to be a stinking fight, which I was not wrong. And I said, and I'll read about it in the paper. I'll hear about it later on the news.
Okay, till the next time the gloves are off, this is Steve Kim for Ray Boom Boom Mancini. Goodbye, everybody.